Water is crazy. It's basically a total rule breaker while simultaneously being the most important molecule in existence. Let's dive into it in this episode all about the properties of water.
Oh, good old H2O. What makes water so special really comes down to its structure. Water molecules are shaped like this. Because this large oxygen atom is really grabby for electrons, it has a slight negative charge, making this area with the hydrogen atoms have a slight positive charge. This makes water polar. Because of this, water molecules have an easy time bonding together. The hydrogen of one water molecule with its slightly positive charge can bond with another water molecule's oxygen with its slightly negative charge, kind of like magnets. These bonds among the water molecules are hydrogen bonds. The structure of a water molecule and its capability of forming hydrogen bonds with multiple other water molecules simultaneously gives water molecules some very unique properties, like the ability to act as a universal solvent, the properties of cohesion and adhesion, a high surface tension, a high heat capacity, and changes in density based on temperature.
Have you ever looked at the top of a really tall tree and wondered, how did water that started in the soil get all the way up there? All gravity wants to do is pull you down toward the earth, but water doesn't seem to care. Transpiration is happening right now through the leaves of this tree. As water leaves the plant, it pulls the next water molecule in line upward. Vascular plants have tissue called xylem that acts kind of like a blood vessel, but instead of blood, it transports water up through the plant. This is possible through cohesion and adhesion.
Water molecules with those fancy hydrogen bonds also bond to each other through cohesion. Cohesion is the attraction between two like things, the attraction between one molecule of water and another molecule of water. It's sort of like these magnets. As water molecules evaporate from a leaf, the next water molecule in line is pulled upwards, and so on.
Cohesion also contributes to the surface tension of water. You see this high surface tension when observing droplets of water on leaves like this. The water molecules are so attracted to each other, and because the very top layer can't bond to anything above, it's pulled down toward the other molecules, forming a tiny molecule skin, if you will, on the surface. That's why you see it curved here at the top. There are a lot of insects, like these guys, that can walk on the surface of the water because of this surface tension. Some lizards and birds have this ability as well.
If cohesion is water bonding or sticking to itself, then adhesion is water bonding or sticking to other molecules. We see cohesion and adhesion at work back in our transpiration example because of something called capillary action. We will see this here with a walking water experiment. I've placed water and food coloring in these two cups here on the end, and this middle cup is empty and dry. Then I will place one end of these paper towel strips inside of the cups with water and food coloring, leaving the other ends dry. Next, I'm going to place the dry ends here inside of this empty cup and wait and see what happens. The paper towel is made of lots of tiny fibers. As the water begins to adhere to those fibers, it brings other water molecules it's bonded to through cohesion along with it. As long as there's room between the fibers for the molecules to travel, the water will continue bonding to the fibers through adhesion along the way.
Think of the water molecules as amazing rock climbers, and they travel with a ton of their friends. They are really good at teamwork. So the first rock climbers that hook into the rock face remain there so their friends can climb up their back up the cliff. The first in line always hooking into the rock so the next can climb up, pulling their friends up behind them, like monkeys in a barrel, except the hooks are hydrogen bonds. If you're still here liking this video, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode.
Water is also a powerful solvent for other molecules because of its structure. That means that water can dissolve many other molecules. Sugar and salt are some we're familiar with. These are called hydrophilic, and they're hydrophilic because they're polar, and their polarity is stronger than those cohesive forces of the water. When you get one of these polar substances in water, it's strong enough that it breaks all the little cohesive forces, all those little hydrogen bonds. So what happens when a substance can't karate chop those strong cohesive forces of water? That's when we get a hydrophobic substance, or something that's fearful of water. These substances don't have charged poles, so they're nonpolar, and don't dissolve in water because water won't let them into their friend group, because they're too bonded to each other. Essentially, the hydrophobic substance is being pushed out of the water by water's cohesive forces, like oil in water.
Most substances contract when they freeze and become more dense. Like matter in solid form is typically more dense than liquids, and liquids are typically more dense than gases. But water expands when it freezes. You may have noticed this if you've ever tried to freeze a water bottle, and it just makes a mess. So at its freezing point, water molecules start to solidify, and those hydrogen bonds in those water molecules form crystalline structures that space molecules out more evenly, in turn making frozen water less dense, which is why ice floats. That simple characteristic of water is why life on Earth is possible. If ice were denser than water, it would freeze, then sink, freeze, then sink, freeze, then sink. You get the idea. And life in lakes or ponds like this would be impossible in the winter. Instead, the ice floats on top, creating an insulating layer for the liquid water below, allowing the fish, aquatic plants, and everything else to keep living, growing, and interacting until the ice thaws in the spring.
Water resists changing its temperature. It has what is called high specific heat. That's why it can be super hot outside, but the lake that you cannonball into can still be really cold. Water has a very high heat capacity, which means that water is really good at holding on to heat, which is why fog appears over water when the air temperature drops. The water is warmer than the air, so the water molecules that are trying to escape sort of get instantly condensed into a mist or fog. It's difficult to heat up or cool down the oceans significantly. They become giant heat sinks that regulate the temperature and climate of the Earth.
Since most living organisms are full of water, and the temperature of water rises and falls slowly, living organisms can maintain their normal internal temperatures more easily, protected from rapid temperature changes.
Many animals rely on evaporation to cool them off. Water molecules that were in their liquid state as sweat heat up and now have just enough energy to bounce away, breaking those hydrogen bonds, and go into the gas state as water vapor, taking that heat energy with them, leaving us cooler.
Water is crazy. We really couldn't do anything without it, so yay water. And if you want to learn more science, you can check out this video next.
Clean up on aisle 3.